Well, then, hello again from my side. I have the honor to quickly introduce data science for the social good Munich in general. Before I hand it over to the two projects, I try to keep it quite short, but still I want to take like 5 minutes maybe. Okay, I think you can go to the next slide. Just a quick background, maybe many here in the room already know what is data science for the social good, at least for us. It is a project-based summer program. Was initially founded by a man named Raid Ghani at the University of Chicago more than 10 years ago. He used to be a scientific advisor of one of the Obama administrations, and afterwards he founded this program, which is now globally endorsed at multiple locations. So there's a chapter in Berlin, there's a chapter in Kaiserslautern, there are chapters in the US, many, some in Portugal, and many countries of the world, which is really, really cool to be connected with these other chapters. And the general idea from this summer-based version of DSSG is that we bring in fellows from all across the world to work on data science projects that can really span all domains from education, health, transportation, whatever. They all just have in common that they are in partnership with non-profit or NGO organizations, and that they have a social impact. Also, what has been a key characteristic of DSSG, according to our understanding, is that we really believe in full-time mentorship from a technical side, but also from a project management side. So that's why we specifically hire people for the summer to mentor our fellows, to make it a good learning experience, but also to create good outcomes of the projects, right? In addition to that, we have a lot of workshop, lectures, social activities. We go to Berlin, we meet the Civic Data Lab, and make it a great experience for everyone. Okay, I think even in the room, but also on Zoom, there are a lot of like-minded people, so I don't need to convince how the public can benefit through data science projects. Just want to give short examples. One example from a chapter from the US is where the DSSG fellows predicted or created a prediction model that was able to detect individuals that were at high risk of falling into homelessness, and that could target they prioritize them for rental assistance to avoid that people fall into homelessness, even though it is not necessary. I think it's never necessary. Then an example from our chapter from last year, where we created a tool for the fire department in Munich, but really actually any fire department can use it. They just set a point on the map and see what range they have with different types of vehicles and fire hoses. So it assists them in effective planning of their dispatches in case of fire emergencies. I think the third example we can skip for now and go to the next slide. It is so the public benefits greatly through this program, but also our fellows learn a lot of stuff. Of course, the usual domain stuff like programming, computer science, machine learning, statistics, and so on. Social science also, as a sociologist, I want to stress this, of course, always. But then also the stuff that's maybe not that obvious, and I think that's sometimes neglected a little bit in academic programs, problem and project scoping, project management, communication, especially. I really think that's a great point. Communication with people that are not from your academic background. Social scientists speaking to computer scientists and the other way around. They sometimes speak different languages. So that's a great learning. And then things like privacy and security, ethics, fairness in AI, and a lot of other stuff. So it's a fantastic learning opportunity. For this year, some images of the group that has, or the core group that has made this possible. It's the second time we do this in Munich. This year we have 8 fellows in 2 projects, right? So 4 each, and it takes 2 months. It takes place in 2 months at the LMU in Munich. I don't want to talk too much about the projects themselves, but I just want to give a big shout out to the fellows here. You can see their faces. Maybe you can wave hi, hello, the Bavarian Forest project. Because they are too humble to introduce themselves as for the great work that they are doing. And then the second project we named Knowing Where to Help, and also these fellows, please say hi quickly. Thank you. And then, as I said, there's more than just the project work. We do a lot of social activities, field trips. We go to Berlin and present what we are doing. We go to other institutions and show and tell the positive stories about data. I think that's quite important. We meet our partners, for example, down here, you see from last year where we met the firefighters, they actually showed us the fire hoses. And if you can see these data points in real life, it actually changes your view, I think, on that project, and also meet the partners. I mean, it's quite important. Yeah. Okay. Last slide. Yeah, I think as you are like-minded, please reach out to us. We are looking for a bunch of things always, new projects. Those projects should be faced by NPOs, NGOs in the public sector. And all of them should have, if we should consider them for DSSG, they should have, of course, a social impact. They should be related to data. And important point, difficult point, can be tackled in an independent 2 months project, right? So 2 months is nothing, but it is actually something if you have 4 or 5 people working for 2 months full time just on one thing. It's difficult to make it happen, but if you can make it happen, you can, create an amazing outcome in these 2 months. Then we are also looking for fellows always, for technical mentors and project managers. So if you want to spend a summer in Munich, please apply. We are looking for contacts in public administration that may be interested in sustaining our initiatives. So for example, connecting us with other institutions. And also, I think a lot of you have fantastic expertise in working inside an NGO or with an NGO, working on data science projects in and around NGOs, and also how to deploy these projects. We discussed it earlier a little bit, compliant to regulations, to rules, and also so that people can use it that are maybe not data scientists. Right, I think that was all from me. Yep, and I hand it over to project number 1.
Okay, so again, nice to meet you all, and thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation. Today, we'd like to talk about a topic that affects us, all of us, in one way or another, which is migration. So most of us already know someone who has migrated before, whether it's a family member, a friend, a colleague, a classmate, or even ourselves. And on the other hand, we also know that migration is deeply connected to some of the world's biggest challenges, such as poverty, inequality, uneven development between countries, climate change, and the unpredictability of migration flows make it very difficult for governments and also organizations such as IOM to allocate resources and respond to emerging crises. And in this context, the IOM is undertaking a pilot project, we could say, to develop a model to estimate migration flows in the future. And we are helping them by analyzing cross-border migration in the Eastern Horn of Africa. So our main goal here is to first understand the factors driving migration and to create an early warning system so we can predict not the exact amount of migrants, but if the migration rate will increase or decrease in the following months. So this way we can help them allocate resources more effectively and also make informed decisions. So now I'll hand it over to my team members. So Delia will be talking about the challenge we face working on this project, and then Masaba will dive into the solutions we are proposing, and finally Jorge will talk about the impacts our work can have here.
Thank you, Belen. So as Belen already said, migration is a complex problem. It's basically influenced by any event that's happening in the world, starting from climate change and into any conflicts, protests, and political regimes. And usually all these influences, patterns are very correlated. It's like multi-causal problem. And so for detecting any influencing variables, first you need to study a lot migration theory, and only after you can proceed with data collection, sourcing, cleaning, presenting it in coordinated format, and storing. Another important issue that the data that we are provided with is very sensitive. So we had to accurately follow all recommendations from IOM. And only after executing all the steps, you can start the statistical modeling and predictions. Now I hand over to Ms. Haber about solutions.
Thank you, Belen and Daria, for driving us through the problems of migration. But we all have like solutions to problems, right? So for our project, we are supporting IOM in different components of their pilot project with continuous improvement of their database, detection of some emerging migration trends, and an alert system that is for them to be used in the future as a data-driven planning. And we have been working with different types of data sets, including the global events database, including the DTM displacement matrices we have in the events and stuff, extreme weather data sets, conflict-based data sets. So I will be showing some solutions we have been working on through our Power BI dashboard over here. Like, for example, in the first one, we can see a summary of a data set called GDL data set, which is event-based. We have duplicated events sourced through the new articles and different sources. So, for example, for our problem in Eastern Horn Africa, we have like 2 million events, but we were able to bring them down to 304K after removing all the duplicates, basically. And it's basically a summary of how we implemented different strategies in that area. Moving on to the second part, we have been working on some migration change rate in certain country pairs. For example, here we can see from Djibouti to Saudi Arabia, we can see like certain spikes of migration in certain years, like 2020, 2019 or 2021. And we basically categorize them as high alerts for the migration using simple statistical not simple, I would say, but like the statistical techniques based on the data set we are cleaning and then maintaining. Further moving on to the prediction or forecasting perspective, I would say we have been working on different country to country migrations in the Africa. And here an example, like from Burundi to Congo, we have certain data till 2021, and we are forecasting for the next 6 months on how the spikes can be seen, like going up or going down or so on. And for now, we have like a 27% error over there. These are some of the examples we have been working on. So summing up, like we have been working on the data, improving the data quality for this migration problem. We have been working on some measuring these migration trends for timely alerts for the IOM and to further help them with the resource allocations and their proper management in the future in their pilot project. So moving on, I would hand over to Jorge for like the impact of the project we have been doing. Yeah.
So if we want to summarize everything that we've been doing, it will be into products. The first one is that we are improving the database that comes from the IOM. We already know that when we work with data and we try to deploy it as a model, like 80% of our time is just cleaning that data. So it's not an easy data, but we are like, we were able to improve that database. And second one, sorry. Oh yeah, and second one, it's implementing this early warning system. Those as like 2 products. Then what we're going to offer, it's 3 takeaways. The first one is this crossing between data science and social issues. So nowadays, I think governments are more aware how data can be so powerful. So this is an amazing proof that how we can address a public policy problem just using data. But not only that, how we can use that same data to design better public policies. The second takeaway is that we are helping IOM to plan better like the resources and ensure this support. So at the end, they are efficiently allocating their resources where it is most needed. So at the end, we were discussing this morning with the partner, and actually with this allocation, at the end, every hour counts, and it's about saving lives. So it's how data can be like saving lives. Last but not least, it's support future research and data science projects. So what is nice about this project is that it's not only in the research area, but how we can apply this inside and how with this improved data quality, we can create a better basis for future projects, and not only in migration, but for other ones. And just by looking how we can resolve complex public policy problem with the use of data. So thanks again for having us, and we are open to your questions. Thank you.
Well, nice to meet you all. My name is Patricio, as I told you, and I will be introducing you to the job we have been doing for the past 1.5 months, and that we titled Harmonizing Tourism and Nature Protection. And our goal here was to deliver the park administrators, but also visitors, a tool to perform a data-driven visitor management in the Bavarian Forest National Park. I don't know if any of you have been there, but the Bavarian Forest is located in Bavaria, in the border with Czechia, and it's a popular tourist destination that receives more than 1.4 million visitors a year. But the park is not only a hotspot for tourists, it's also a really important place for European flora and fauna. And that dual role, that combination of things that the park has, poses some challenges or problems to the administration. One of the, an image that could illustrate this is a particular animal, the capercaillie, which is an endangered species of bird that mainly lives there. And it's really dependent on the actions from the national park, such as closing certain areas or closing some trails in some periods of the year to maintain and to grow in number. Another problem they're currently facing is the overcrowding of some areas in the park. So the diagnosis of the problem is that people don't have enough information about where they can park, what different trails they can take, the different visitor centers that are opened. So that causes a problem not only for the visitors, but also for the wildlife that is really sensitive to noises and overcrowded spaces. So to tackle this problem, they have already been installing different sensors, or they have already started the data collection. We designed and implement a tool that could help them have a data-driven approach that could elevate their visitor management. So now Anthony on my right is going to tell you about the different problems they're facing with the data collection currently.
Sure. Yes, so like Patricio was saying, the Bavarian National Forest Park is unique in many ways, but pertinent to this project is that they are a national park that collects a lot of data in some cutting edge ways. So just to give you a sense of kind of the size and scope of the park and what they do. So there's over 700 entrances or exits to the park. You can enter and exit from over 700 places in the Bavarian National Forest Park. At 26 of these locations, the park administration has placed sensors that can detect people entering or exiting the park. So these sensors can detect which direction people are coming past the sensor to get a sense of people coming and going at these different locations. The park also has sensors in 12 parking lots that can capture whether or not a parking space in a given parking lot is occupied by a car. So this can, get them some idea of whether or not they need more spaces or if it's crowded in these parking lots or overcrowded. They also manually count visitors who visit different visitor centers throughout the park and at these service mountain huts for hikers who want a bit more luxury in their hiking experience. So where we come in, so the park collects all this data. It's pretty cutting edge how they collect this data, but their data is sort of all over the place. They have many different files and different formats and different locations. And pooling all this data together in the first place, it took us a bit of time just to get it together because of all this disparate data. So where we come in is we want to take all this really interesting data that the park collects with all these really cool tools and actually utilize it in a way to provide something actionable for the park. And through that, we wanted to create a tool that would be beneficial to all park stakeholders. So not only just the tourists to have a great experience, and in turn, the park staff that can, manage the flow of tourists and visitors to the park, but also how this plays into protecting or minimizing the human impact on the wildlife in the park. So we wanted a tool that would be useful to all three of these stakeholders. So my colleagues and I, with our background in data science, social sciences, machine learning, AI, and that stuff, we all came together to initially assess the data quality of all these data. And just, having us as a team look through these data with, a fine-tooth comb, we were able to see just by descriptive analyses where the park could improve their data collection substantially. So after we looked through all these data, we had a plan in mind to design a central warehouse or storage point for all these data, so it would be easily accessible to the staff, given how their current data storage system is a bit scattered. And then after we have all these data and it's cleaned and we've assessed the quality of all the data, we wanted to integrate all these different data to serve as sort of the backbone or what's going to be fed into a prediction model that could predict the coming and going of visitors in the Bavarian National Forest Park at the hourly level and across different regions of the park. So that's where we come in to help the Bavarian Forest National Park. And I can hand it over to Mampa, who can talk a bit more about the solution itself.
Thank you, Anthony. So as we already know about what the Bavarian Forest already have in hand and the groundwork laid already in the Bavarian Forest, and also the problems that comes from variety of data sources coming from all over. So now I'll delve into how we as a team tackle this problem. So as you can see, we have like 3 core elements where we focus on to tackle this problem. First is a prediction model. So the prediction model predicts the future visitor counts for the coming week based on factors like the weather, the vacation days, and also the past records for the visitor counts, which is collected from the year 2016. And then we have the dashboard, which is used for 2 main functions, for the internet planning by the Bavarian Forest authorities, and also the visitors who are visiting the park, which includes the tourists and the locals who just go to the park for maybe recreation or just to explore the flora and fauna of the park. And if we could see the dashboard, so this is how the dashboard looks like for the visitors and the authorities. So there are different parts in the dashboard. So this is the visitor counts for the dashboard. So here we have the results or the output from the prediction model that we train, which gives an idea or the distribution of the crowd pattern on an hourly basis for the coming week. So if we see today, we get to see the how busy the park will be region-wise for the coming week. So this is shown for one region. So we have 6 regions in the national park that we have divided according to the inputs from the Bavarian Forest. So we already know what is the crowd distribution across the forest. Next, we can also see that in the dashboard, we also have this real-time parking occupancy. So as Anthony mentioned, so there are parking sensors, like car counting sensors in 12 different park plots across the Bavarian Forest. So when we check in the dashboard, so we get the real-time parking occupancy from the Byron cloud, and we can just scroll over and see in the map which parking place is empty. This is particularly useful for the people of the Bavarian Forest to internally plan that if some parking places are particularly getting crowded, or if people are parking their cars maybe outside the parking spots, and just to learn the distribution of how crowded the place is. Apart from this, we also have this weather forecast in the dashboards, which gives an idea about the weather for the coming week. This is just to make the dashboard a bit more compact so that the visitors have all the information in one place for more effective planning for their visit. Apart from this, we also have information about the recreational activities. So apart from like seeing the flora and fauna of the forest, we also have other recreational activities like hiking, cycling, cross-border skiing, etc. But we have some, for example, for hiking, we have this specific trials the visitors need to follow just to not to disturb the animals or the capercaillie, as Patricio mentioned, just not to disturb them. So we have these fixed trails that they should follow, and also for skiing, they should. It's only open until sometime in the year, so we have information regarding this. So these are mostly redirections to their own web page. And other than that, we have this access point. So as Anthony mentioned, they have, again, data from all over the place. So this is for the authorities where they can come in and upload their data as a database, and also download their data, which they have been uploading in the past months. And also there is a section for data query where they can already query the data they have already uploaded. For example, here, as you can see, they are trying to query the parking data from the month. So this is for the download data. And then if we go more, zoom into the parking query thing. So as you can see here, they are trying to query the parking data for the month of February and for this particular parking sensors. So they get to see the distribution of the parking and just plan accordingly to promote like sustainable tourism across the park. So in essence, so we are helping the Bavarian Forest to better manage the resources, not only today, but also trying to make it future-proof for the coming days, so that we can hand them over as a tool, also so that they can continue this work of just managing this entire data in one spot. Now I'll hand over to Aisha, who will talk about what impact our project has on the Bavarian Forest.
Thank you, Manpa. Hello, everyone. Talking about the impact of the project, we have built a solution, and our solution can transform the way visitors experience the Bavarian Forest National Park by providing them the real-time information about the parking, weather, and the current visitor level at the given hour, at the specific the distribution of the visitor across all the forest, and dividing them into the region, so that visitor can already have an idea like how much the one space could be the crowded, so they can plan their trip accordingly and avoid the overcrowding places. And this can not only enhance their experience, but it can also help to minimize the disturbance to the nature. As my fellow has mentioned, there are some few sensitive animal that are sensitive to the voice, and we can try it can help them to park management to make some decision, do an internal planning according to the traffic they are expecting. So they distribute their rangers across the forest according to that, because they know already in hand what type of strategy we need to make, so that we can handle that situation easily. And in this way, they not only for the forest, it gave them an amazing experience in the forest, and for the animal too, they can do strategic planning, and they can help them to preserve the natural resources of the park, including wildlife. And for the internal planning, we are providing them with a tool where they can access their data, manipulate their data, and get to know about their data, even if they are not a technical person. We have give them an overview of a tool where they can do everything related to their data. Even if they are not technical person, they can simply upload it, have a preview of the data and the distribution of the data through some visualization and some the graphs, they are, and mostly the most important thing is the querying. They can query the data according to their needs and get to know about the idea. And of course, this solution will be available to both visitors and the Bavarian Forest Management through a web platform. To conclude that, I must say it's a blueprint for all the other places with the recreational activities to sustain, to promote sustainable tourism and preserve the nature. Yeah. Thank you.